And joining us now on the program, harvest season is wrapping up, or at least getting close to wrapping up across much of the country. But we continue a bit of a harvest tour around the country here for this fall. And we're going to focus in on central Iowa right now. And really happy to have our next guest join us. You may know him from YouTube. He started the farming simulator videos over 7 years ago, and now he has another YouTube channel where they're documenting him and his brother, their work on their own actual farm now. And great to have him on to give us a bit of a harvest update. Grant Hilbert is with us. Grant, it's good to talk to you, buddy. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, we started on Farm Sim and finally got 3 years of real farming under our belts. So
yeah,
we're learning a lot, but this harvest was a good one.
Well, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. And it's funny, too. We ran into each other at the Farm Progress show, and you introduced yourself, and I was like, oh, man, I know you. You know, I've seen, your YouTube content and stuff. And so it was cool. We got to make that connection in person. And so, and then I was like, hey, why don't you come on the show and talk to us a little bit? So glad we could make this happen here today. And I know you're obviously kind of slowing down a little bit, finishing out harvest here, it sounds like. That's why you have some time available, because I know it's been a fast and furious harvest here this fall. Talk about just how things have been going, what you guys have seen out there in the fields, et cetera. What are you hearing from neighbors? How have things been going so far this fall, Grant?
Yeah. We just finished harvest. We just wrapped it up last night, actually, which would have been the October 23rd. And yeah, so we farm in kind of two different areas. One is kind of, I'll call it southeast central Iowa, which is along the Mahaska County and Poweshiek County border. And that area got a lot of rain. We caught a lot of rain this summer. I would say from planting season to September 1st, we had, anywhere from 16 to 18 inches. Extremely lucky for that area. If you go northeast of there, it's in a D3 drought. If you go southeast of there, it's in D3 drought. So we got lucky. Bean yields were pretty good. For example, one rough farm went 58 bushel an acre, and then a fairly good farm went 76. So we got really lucky with beans. And then corn yields were anywhere from that, we'll call it 235 range up to 270. And stuff, and even the marginal ground, I farmed some pretty marginal ground, and we got enough rain to really keep those hills pumping for corn. So we had some record yields, but it was just a very small area that had some good yields, and a lot of neighbors also had some good yields there. But then if you go up towards Story County, that's another area that we farm in, just 80 acres up there. We're really small, and that area, also, I've heard some really good yields out of there, anywhere from the 230 up to the 270 range on corn. I haven't heard too much on beans yet. Usually Story County is a little tougher to grow beans, but corn was, I think, pretty good up there. Our farm up there went 215 bushel an acre, and it was a rough farm that just came out of CRP, but I was honestly expecting a little more for corn yield up there than what we actually came out to. But like I said, it was a little rougher farm and just came out of CRP this spring. So overall, though, between those two areas, those two regions, I'd say all the way from Story County through Jasper to kind of Poweshiek, Mahaska through central Iowa, those kind of caught a lot of rains right through that region. So I think pretty good yields out of those areas.
I heard the term variability seems like it's been thrown around a lot here this year, and I think to your points as well, some areas really good that caught those rains, but maybe if you didn't catch the rains at the right time, you maybe weren't looking at as good yields. It just feels like variability, whether it is across the state of Iowa or across the entire Midwest, was just all over the place out there this growing season. Have you heard kind of the same, Grant?
I'd agree. And a lot of soil type too, it seems like. If you go over to like Tama County, I have some friends that farm Tama County, and they're really good producers, and it was pretty rough. Yeah. So across central Iowa, it was pretty variable.
Now, I know with some of the drought and dryness issues, some folks did get that rain, but it felt like this year we didn't have as much in the way of disease pressure or pest pressure with how dry it was. Would you agree with that, or did you see any disease or pest pressure on your operation?
in the Mahaska Chic area, it depends on farms and hybrid. We had one farm that was I'll call a hilltop rolling farm that there was a little tar spot still, and even the fungicide we put on was only an 8 bushel advantage, and I was expecting it to be way more this year. And there was just a little bit of tar spot on there. But then if you go to just 4 miles west of there at a creek bottom farm, different hybrid, corn on corn too, and there was a ton of tar spot. And so that fungicide, I think on that check strip was a 15 bushel advantage on that. So I'd say that little region had a lot of tar spot, especially in those low creek bottoms there. If you go up to Story County there was still some tar spot, just not as much.
So would you say that tar spot, we've obviously been seeing that continue to expand across the country here. Would you say that's your biggest concern maybe moving forward into next growing season and beyond, is how to manage tar spot in your cornfields?
Yes. Yeah. I would say, especially if we say moist and damp and stuff like that, I would say yes. Yeah, that's going to be a little troublesome. So, like I said, it's only my third year though. So This is really the first year that I've really had heavy tar spot pressure like we did.
Well, it's cool that, your third year, you guys are learning and gaining knowledge from neighbors and friends and whatnot. And so it's cool to see that perspective as a young farmer. And two, I mentioned the new YouTube channel. We should give you a plug for that if folks want to see the things you guys do on your farm, or maybe they're not necessarily in farming and ranching, but they want to learn more and see where their food comes from. I know you guys are doing an awesome job kind of documenting things on your farm as they go. So talk about that new YouTube channel a little bit.
Yeah. So on the YouTube side, I have a YouTube channel. I have a couple, but one of them on the real life side is just called Grant Hilbert, my name. And so I just document the journey getting started as a first generation farmer, really all the struggles and successes. There's definitely a lot more struggles. Like, for example, this fall, I was doing something stupid. I was pulling 2 heavy Grant 650 wagons up a steep hill that I shouldn't have been pulling up, got caught in a power hop this tractor. My head was hitting the roof. I kind of show it all on there. So every mistake we make, I just try and document the journey on there. And then my brother Spencer also farms with me. He has a separate YouTube channel just called Spencer Hilbert. He's very transparent with like the numbers. So he'll show exactly how much he made per acre this year on that channel. And let's see, I think on his farm, he would lose money this year, I'm guessing. But he's very transparent on his YouTube channel and shows the exact same thing that I do, just different farms, different content. So.
Well, and I should ask as well, and it's really great stuff. Again, it's just under his name, Grant Hilbert. You can go find it on YouTube. And just one thing to kind of wrap up here, your perspective as a young farmer, we hear a lot about interest rates being high, and obviously you got to manage your margins and your input costs and more. And we hear about all the issues going on in DC with a farm bill, et cetera, et cetera. In your mind, what is your biggest concern as a young farmer right now? If you could put that into perspective for us, or maybe not. Maybe there's multiple. I'm not sure. Maybe there's not too many concerns. But if you had one, what would be the biggest thing for you that you're watching right now?
Biggest thing for me, I would say, is interest rates are super important. I don't think there's a young farmer that doesn't borrow money. Maybe there's a couple, but land, I would say land is by far the toughest thing. In my opinion, to own land, to rent land, that's really the toughest thing. And I think there's a lot of we'll call it older people or older generations out there that are really looking to get young farmers started. And I think if you do things right, opportunities will come to you and stuff. And so I think land by far is the toughest to access.
And it's something that, we continue to see rental rates and land sales at very high levels. So great point, great perspective, something for us to definitely think about, I would say, moving forward. And, the bad thing about land values, obviously, Grant, I think you and I both know this, is that that cost might stay high if the demand is there and people want to run up the price on some of that good farmland, right?
Yep, exactly. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah. Exactly.
It's one of those things, one of those many battles. But to everything you said, sounds like you're doing a great job. Looks like you're doing a great job on your YouTube channel, and folks can check it all out. Grant Hilbert on YouTube, and we appreciate the harvest update and the conversation here today on the program. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll have to have you back on again soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Jesse.